right, folks, grab a seat and pour your drink neat as Whiskers and Whiskeys presents OTAs, off-season talk about coaching carousel and NIL. We are back, baby. This is Mike. With me, as always, EJ and Joe. How we doing, boys?
We're doing great. I can't believe we're back. It's exciting.
It is. It is very exciting. It's been a long time coming. Been a busy couple of months here, but we finally are able to kind of get back in the saddle here. And we're just, it's middle of May here, right? Like draft just kind of wrapped up. A lot of schools are getting out. A lot of spring games recently happened and stuff. So, but it's been a busy off season. So, we figured we might as well get together for a little like mini series here ahead of our more regularly scheduled programming this fall.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like the dead zone of football now that the schedule has been released. So there's really not a lot to talk about, too much until, come the fall. So I know that I've been kind of jonesing already, seeing as my baseball team's terrible and my hockey team's not in the playoffs.
That's why you got to start watching. That's why you got to start
say
watching.
All of your teams are terrible.
You got to start watching F1, baby. That's you got to get into F1.
He's gonna pick the wrong car.
Yeah, not very good at picking the other stuff. So
it's pretty clear. There's a couple clear choices for F1. So only 10 teams. So there's less risk, I guess I should say. And
sure.
I don't like McLaren's my favorite team. They're not necessarily the top team. You just need to really have an opinion on Mercedes and Red Bull. I think that if you have to have an opinion, and Max and Lewis some would say Lewis is no longer relevant this season, which I love. But yeah.
But does Red Bull give you wings in this case?
Well, sometimes Red Bull this season has either had first place finish or exploding engine DNF. So it's been a real roller coaster for them.
Does Ricky Bobby race for them? Are they either first or last here?
For the first couple, they're definitely yes. Max Verstappen is Ricky Bobby this year. First or last, baby.
Nice. So how's the last 6 months? I don't even know if the three of us have been together, all three of us. I think we've paired off here and there since the last time we recorded.
I don't think we have.
I don't think three of us have been together. So
this would have been a great opportunity.
True. Hindsight there. So how are things been, Joe? How are things been with you the last 6 months?
Adjusting to being a parent and getting sick from daycare. So I've already taken off 3 days. She's been in daycare 2-3 months. I've already taken off 3 days and I'm doing a half day tomorrow because of it. So
holy cow.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Chloe has made it. I think she made it 2.5 days. The first run. And then she went back for, I think, 3 days before the second run of illness, which I am also, I usually work from home on Mondays now anyway, but I mean, she's still sick. So I might be working from home. These kids are
absolute
Tuesday.
germ factories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is.
And with COVID protocols, it doesn't help because if they break a fever, they have to come home no matter what. So
right.
It just makes it intensifies everything and then just burns through your leave. So
that's brutal, man. And
then we've both gotten sick from the sicknesses that our daughters have brought.
I got norovirus. We both actually, Anna and I both got norovirus. That was rough. She said it was the worst she's felt besides childbirth.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. It was 30 hours of throwing up and I won't get into what it turned into after that.
You guys should, oh boy. I mean, I can guess. Comes out one and comes out the other. But you guys, I was visiting a friend yesterday. He has an au pair, a live-in au pair that he found from an agency. And there's someone out golfing in the middle of this thunderstorm. That's incredible. That reminds me of like Caddyshack. Surely the good Lord wouldn't ruin the best round of golf of my life. And someone is out there in the middle of a thunderstorm. More power to him. But anyways, I have a friend who has an au pair. He said it's like a little bit more expensive than daycare, but like just so worth it because he had a lot of the same issues you did. Like kid was just sick for weeks on end, It's like, and with you guys living so close to each other too, I think it actually would maybe it makes sense. You could do a little splitsies there,
I mean, we kind of like thought about it, but it's just hard to find someone you trust, right? And it's not it's definitely something you probably feel most comfortable with, like a referral, than even just meeting someone, because people can lie in interviews.
My buddy went through this agency, so it was great. I can let you know.
So how are things been with you then Mike? Everything? Everything's great.
Yeah, man, just kicking it, getting ready for the summer here. Like I said, got into Formula One, which has been fantastic. And we
got into Formula 2, just a different type.
Yeah, there's not a shortage of my formula.
And any update on the old Bronco? ... Are you willing to take that bet with your wife?
No, I
did he explain it?
Why don't you explain what the agreement, the potential, the tentative agreement was with the Bronco?
The ultimatum.
What was the ultimatum? I can't even remember this now.
That you wouldn't buy any clothing.
Oh yeah.
Clothing or hats, right?
For good thing I didn't agree to that, because that's already kind of out the window. I went golfing at Birdwood, University of Virginia's home course, and bought a shirt and a hat there. So that went right out the window. But yeah, I mean, the deal would be I can't buy any shirts, hats, sunglasses. Basically, my wife just wants me to be swagless in order for me to get a Ford Bronco.
Well, who are you trying to impress now?
I mean, I just like to look good, man. Look good, feel good.
You're going to look even better in the Bronco.
That's true. That's true. Honestly, I think that there's a good chance. If I go back to Pennsylvania here, I'm going back to Pennsylvania soon. There's a good chance that if I, drive, there's like a bunch of dealerships right down the main strip in my hometown. If I see something, I might just pull off and, pick it up. So probably a little bit better. And
it will be, your birthday. Around that
time. Oh, that's true, kid.
I mean, happy birthday.
True. Huh? Happy birthday, me. I buy myself a Bronco. I deserve it. Turn 33. That's it's at least it's not a Corvette, Like,
that is true.
There's gonna be this thing's gonna be able to, if she has projects she wants to do, I need to go to the store and pick stuff up from Home Depot, no problem, It's not like whenever we had to replace that door and I had barely fit into the front seat of your car. That was an experience.
Yes, it was.
For me, really. I mean, I felt like I was gonna die. I was very claustrophobic there.
Well,
can we get to the drink?
Let's get to the drink here. This is a totally new series for us, different than what we did in the fall. So we thought we would change it up and deviate from a whiskey drink. And honestly, this was the perfect day, I feel like, for this drink, because here in Virginia, it was a lovely 80 degrees, not too humid yet. And I thought about this drink all day, so much so that I had to go to 3 different liquor stores to find the liquor, because my VABC store is under renovation apparently and closed. And then I went to a separate one that didn't have any, so then I had to go to a third one to find this. But I've never even tried this before, so I'm excited. So Joe,
well, first of all, you should have gone to my ABC because they had 6 bottles.
Well, the one I finally found was like, they had like 10, but it was quite the trip today. But Joe, why don't you let us know what your favorite drink is?
So I took this opportunity to deviate a little bit, like EJ said, and we are drinking a caipirinha. So this is a drink that I originally had probably 7 or 8 years ago. I went on a trip to Portugal, and I was in Lisbon, and we just happened to order it. And it's a Brazilian drink, heavy on the lime, and it's muddled. So where I had it, it was very thick and pulpy, and they actually gave you an extra, like one of those big straws that you get with like a, I don't know,
boba.
like
a smoothie or something,
milkshake or something.
Yeah, or boba.
Yeah. So they gave you one of those because it was so pulpy, and it was amazing. And I have read a little bit. I've tried to find caipirinhas here in the States that I've tried probably a dozen, and none of them compare at all. The only thing that I've had that's somewhat close is just making it myself at home. So I don't know if they skimp on the lime or the sugar or what, but so essentially it's it's 1 lime. You can use more or less depending on what you like. 2 teaspoons of sugar. I went with brown sugar. You can use normal sugar or whatever.
I used white sugar. I was thinking because
you can use it doesn't matter.
We'll get into the sugars here, yeah.
And then 2 ounces of cachaça, which is it's like a rum, but it's Brazilian. It's made from sugarcane, so it's sweet. So and then I have a few little fun facts I found about it.
Can we sample before you fun fact?
Yeah, let's do it.
Also, how do you say that liquor? Because I have been saying it way back wrong.
Cachaça.
Cheers.
Oh, that's really nice. It's not. I've had the drink in Costa Rica. I think they pronounce it a little bit differently. Same drink though. And
is that with rum?
It's with whatever that liquor is.
I would guess. Oh, it's the same stuff. Okay.
Well, I don't know if it's the same like brand, but it's like, yeah, it's it's a cane sugar liquor. They told me it's like they said it's a cane sugar liquor that's made here. So
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was delicious. It was like to your point down there, it's like really thick and pulpy. Like I wasn't able to do that here with mine. Like there's definitely more pulp in the bottom. And then it was definitely brown sugar, like granule, like raw cane sugar, like where it's real crystallized. All I have was just the regular old white sugar. So
okay. Yeah, so there's also variations of it. Like I went on a cruise and their fancy like alchemy bar or whatever it's called. They made a Caparosca, something like that. It's with vodka. It's like the Russian version.
I saw that you can do this with vodka. Rum obviously is a substitute. I think I saw something else as a substitute too. But I wonder if I was actually wondering if it would be good with whiskey, and which whiskey would be good to try.
Maybe something sweet, just because this is like a rum. It's like made of sugar, so you need that sweetness, I think, to
probably bourbon,
or even like a clear liquor, right? Like I don't know if like you used like a spiced rum, like a darker rum. I don't know that it would taste the same. I don't know. Maybe it would. But
you could do white rum.
Yeah. Well, I know, but I'm saying like with a whiskey though. Like you'd have to.
You could do corn whiskey.
Yeah.
So my fun fact for this drink is it's kind of rumored where it was originated. It was Brazil, obviously, but it was the most common story that I've seen is that it was invented as a medicine in early 1920, around there, for the Spanish flu. So
nice.
They added lime, garlic, honey, and cachaça. And eventually the garlic and the honey were pulled from it. They added some sugar, and that's what you got here. So that seems to be the most common story that I've seen of how it kind of came to be the current iteration.
I mean, that makes like a hot toddy, like that's something that I'll still drink whenever I'm not feeling well with, lemon, honey, and, bourbon to heat up. Right. But like, I mean,
I'm no like history buff, but I don't think that probably worked very well for the Spanish flu, did it?
I guess no. I might have to bring in Doyle for that one.
all I know is like
check you.
The current COVID pandemic. I feel like at the very beginning it always was referred to other pandemics, and the Spanish flu was always one high on
I've been drinking these each summer the past 2 summers during COVID, and as far as I know, I haven't gotten COVID yet. So
and the Spanish flu, correct? No Spanish flu.
No comment.
maybe give a little nip to the baby girl. Just give her a
it'll help with her eye infection.
You never hey, give it a shot, dude.
So I've got a list here actually on the same site. It's a list of different variations of this drink. So there's a Caparosca, it's with vodka. Saccharinha, any guesses?
Sake. Oh,
yep.
That was the other one. Yeah.
And then they have a Caipirísima, which is made with rum, actual rum. Caipirinha, tequila.
Ooh.
Caipirinha
with wine.
Yep. And then
I assume white wine. That wouldn't. Well, sake, I would definitely want to try with. I kind of want to like. I'm sorry, Joe. You had one more. Go ahead.
One more, and we'll see if you can guess it. Caipa cerveza.
Oh, Let me think. Kahlua.
Close. But yeah, so that's there's different iterations of it, or variations, like I should say. And but I like the traditional one, and it's just heavy on the lime. It's great to drink out in the summer by the pool, or if you're just kind of sitting out relaxing. So
I really want to get into sake. Like, I'd like to have someone kind of give me a tour through the world of sake. Like,
let's see what I can do.
I mean, I've had it before, you know, and like, you know, when you go to like a sushi bar, happy hour, you know, warm sake is like on sale sometimes, and it's just delicious. I love it so much. So I'd like to.
I've heard nothing but horrible things. Anytime I've talked to someone that's tried it, says it was like, oh, they went to, like a Japanese restaurant, got some sushi, and some, was like, oh, it's like a shot. And they always hated it. So I've never had it.
I love it, dude. Huh. I love it.
I had a buddy, actually Adam Dickerson, who was on the podcast from New Holland. He was in town a few years, like this is almost 10 years ago. And our other friend, Chris, and the three of us went to the sushi place in Old Town Alexandria, and we ordered sake. And there was definitely a language barrier because we got a whole bottle. We thought we ordered a shot of sake, and we got a whole bottle. And it was a long night, but we finished that whole bottle. So
they were going Cantonese. You were throwing a little Mandarin, and happy accident. You know, that's wires got crossed. A happy accident.
It was a fun night, I'm sure.
I'm sure, allegedly. No, I love going to. There was a sushi, like I said, sushi bar in Baltimore, and it their happy hour specials, like all their rolls were good price, but then like Sapporo and Kirin, the big ball of Kirin and Sapporo were always on sale.
All
and
boys.
Then, like a bottle of like warm sake, you know, like just in the little ceramic I don't know, whatever you call that, like a little bottle, little ceramic bottle. And yeah, it was great, man. Super cheap and got the job done. So,
well, maybe we'll have to do a segment on different sakes.
Yeah, maybe we should just take the journey together. Like, we'll just like
might be a long episode.
Buy some. Well, nothing's going to be worse than the second episode when Mike laughed on air for about 2.5 minutes and I slurred about 10 words. So
I had a great time, dude. That was. I imagine I haven't listened to that in a while. I want to go back and give it a listen. I imagine that was pretty fun.
I'm pretty sure we have to have some like shirts made, like with it's a bucket. Like,
it's a bucket.
And just have some shirts because that.
Well, I mean, just incredulous. I mean, I not to dwell on the point, but again, it's a bucket. Like, could you imagine what if your wife was like, give me something that like symbolizes our love and relationship, and you come up with a bucket. That's like, what is that? What's that for your whole state?
Yeah.
What does that say? What's that do? Come on.
Yeah.
We can be better than that.
That is true. Yeah, I definitely think, and we've kind of been talking about it for a while, and I think we're going to make some progress here because we have some exciting news. I don't know if we'll talk about it on this episode. We might save it for a future episode here, but we have some exciting merch updates and some news here. So we'll keep you guys updated as we go on that.
Whoop, whoop.
So before we start talking about the main topic today, which is going to be college football and specifically the NIL, like we said, it's been quite a while since we've been on this, and football's over, and this college football landscape, everyone kind of talked about it, going to change, but it's already drastically changed. So we really felt like we needed to jump on and really talk through this. But before we do that, we didn't really do a great job of I don't know, I guess promoting this or discussing it because we were kind of already done with our season last time. But after we did this, but Joe and I got this crazy opportunity to go to see the national championship, and it's still pretty surreal to me that it ended up happening. But I feel like we have to tell this story on how all of this came about. And then, it's just how it was. We posted a few pictures back in January, but we'll definitely repost them and additional pictures that we forgot to include. But
it was more of a scouting trip for me. I was going to look at Jamison Williams.
Yeah, that turned out pretty.
And Bryce Young for next year.
Yeah, that worked out well for you guys.
Yeah,
banana crazy. I threw out on the field really worked.
Yeah, so I guess, I mean, the story starts with me. So as you guys have listened and know, we are very into and enjoy gambling, and since that's been legalized with sports betting in Virginia, we've had a ton of fun. Obviously talked about it all season one. So that led me down the path of obviously trying to find experts to help me win money, right? Naturally, because who doesn't want another set of eyes when you're betting? So
what, my bets weren't good enough for you?
They were great. I just, wanted to make sure when I was expanding, I was branching into other sports beyond football. And so, I just wanted a little bit of, backup information.
Yeah, a little a gambling Sherpa. There you go. Yeah,
sure. So yeah. I kind of stumbled across. I don't even know how I found it, but there was a newer verified Twitter account called Pixwise, and it's like a full company. They do a lot of video. I'm sure they're on multiple social media platforms. Twitter's typically where I go to look at sports related news. And so I'd been following them and been, betting with them and having some success or whatever. And then they had a sweepstakes. And again, like, I don't know, I guess I'm one of those fools that don't really care if I give my email or phone number up for something like that, even though I'm always so annoyed with the, spam and stuff that comes along with that. Like, I think I still get calls from Shamrock Fest. Joe, you remember doing that? And
I don't think I ever did it. I think you guys did.
Never go.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So that was just obviously a St. Patty's Day festival in Washington, D.C., and it's held at RFK, the old Redskins or Commanders, Foot Commanders Stadium. And it's a total
right, buddy.
decrepit area, but they always throw festivals. So I don't know. I still get calls from that, and it's been like 10 years. But anyway, I started following them, and they had a sweepstakes for the national championship game. So I entered it and really didn't think anything of it. And then I got an email from a guy and basically was like, hey, you've won. I just need a little bit more information. I need to know if you're gonna take the tickets first. Like, you have so many hours, like I think it was like 48 hours, to let me know if you're still interested and able to go. And if you are, yada yada. So knowing this, I didn't tell either of you this. Like, I made sure I was pretty far along in the process before I even like approached the subject with someone, because I don't know, like, obviously the first thought is it's a scam, right? You're just a cynic about it.
Yeah.
And
I will say I was skeptical even when we were on our drive there, like till we got to the game and the tickets worked. I was still not sure if it was going to work.
You thought someone was going to come up and like hit you with a billy club and drag you out of the stadium.
I didn't know what their gain was, but yeah. I kept trying to figure out, like, maybe they'll kill us in the hotel, or I don't know.
Yeah, it was.
Didn't sleep very well.
It was something. I mean, I guess I can. I felt a little better about it because I have a research and analysis background, so naturally I dug into the individual that sent me the email, obviously looked into the email address, the company itself, and just did some background research. And I was finding,
all checked out. Yeah.
I was finding real information, but I was still kind of like, they didn't ever ask me for anything more than my name, who I was going to go with, and then like a contact information. So they never really asked for, they didn't ask for.
Yeah. They're not asking for your credit card or your, yeah.
No. So that made me feel better too. And the fact that I could find information on that person who had worked in sports marketing and promoting for years at multiple other, companies. But it just kept getting down to it. And it was like, okay, yes, I'll take them. And then it just took a while for me to get like a hotel, because the
confirmation.
What I won was a free hotel for the weekend. So it was, the game was on a Monday. So I had a hotel from Friday night to Monday or till Tuesday, and then 2 tickets to the national championship game, and then any kind of like transportation to and from the airport if you were flying, but you had to get yourself to Indianapolis. So that was what I had won. So, I was kind of holding out until I had at least something in my name, and they finally came through with the hotel, and I was able to like verify with the hotel that my name was on it. So that was step one. And then the tickets themselves, because the NCAA didn't release essentially this Pixwise uses like a sports travel agency type thing. And the NCAA hadn't given like the bulk of the tickets until like Wednesday or Thursday before. So it was still kind of like nerve wracking. When am I going to get these tickets? But I got them through Ticketmaster. And so Joe and I kind of took a leap and was like, all right, well, we can drive to Indy. It's not too far, we'll just kind of, rent a car and see where this takes us.
See if we die.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're going there, even if the tickets weren't real, at least it's like there are other things that you can do there, and you guys did some other things while you were there.
Yeah, we went to a free Sam Hunt concert right next to our hotel. Walked around. It was cold.
It was freezing.
Yeah.
And obviously we were very fortunate. It was terrible timing as far as like our personal lives, because we had like very young babies,
2-month-old. Yeah.
Right. And we were very lucky that our wives, I don't want to say allowed us, but allowed us to go.
I think you can say that. I think that's a good word choice right there. Yeah.
For a shortened weekend, obviously we didn't use all of the hotel.
Yeah, we didn't stay Monday night. We could have stayed Monday night, but
right.
Drove back early too.
Yeah. So it was we were able to do that, and we drove to Indy. We got to the hotel. It worked. Like I was able to check in. So that was a check, and it was freezing because it's January, but obviously we're from Michigan, so that didn't bother us. But my gosh, the scene of Southerners in like hoodies.
Both teams. Like,
oh yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, like even
I don't think I saw
one I can't
person from Georgia or Alabama with a coat on.
Now, mind you, like I get it. Like you live in the South, like you're not used to this weather, but like you can check weather, like your weather app or weather.com. And if it's going to say it's 30 and windy, I think it's acceptable for you to
I see people pulling up in these like F-350s and Escalades. Like they can afford it too. It's not, they just didn't look, they didn't care to check.
They just didn't bring it. I mean, that's like maybe to the game. I can understand not bringing a jacket because it's indoor.
It was everywhere. It was just walking the streets to midday.
That's
like
crazy.
We saw a lot of people in hoodies that were like tight, like tied up as tight as they could go, so that like the wind wasn't getting in.
And it was windy too. It was not a nice 30 degrees if there is such a thing. It was a cold. It's been a while since I've been home and it's felt like that cold. Like you kind of had talked about going to Pittsburgh and being like, I don't think I could do this again. That's kind of how I felt up there. Even though I was dressed properly, I was kind of like, oh, I don't know if I could really do this. But so it worked out. We ended up having
sat in the Georgia section.
We did. We sat in the Georgia section. So what would you say, Joe? It was probably like 85-15.
I don't know. I think it was more like 70-30. It was a lot, but yeah, probably. It's hard to say because I don't know. I think it was heavily overwhelmed with Georgia fans.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah. It does because you have
just the exhaustion and going every year.
And if you're gonna pick like a year to go, you're probably not picking Indy, right? Think it's like it was Miami the year before and it's going to be Los Angeles next year.
Just wait till next year. Yeah.
So if you're a Bama fan, you can really hedge that bet, right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Is that what you're doing?
Oh man, who knows? I do want to go see that stadium quite badly. I'd love to check it out.
Maybe we should go.
Hey, I'm down.
We didn't have a dog in the fight. We went, so.
No, and it ended up being fun. It was good that we were neutral because Georgia fans really got pretty anxious, I guess, to say the least, throughout the game. And it would have been bad for the city of Indianapolis had they had lost. And yeah, I don't know. I had a blast. It was really cool. They had a convention center set up so that we could, they had
like a fan zone.
Yeah, fan zone. And that's where like College Game Day was. And all the broadcasting teams were in the convention center room somewhere, and they had all the trophies, which was really cool. So we got to take pictures of the national championship trophy, the Heisman, and they even had the other bowl game trophies, which was really cool, that you could go up close and see the various like Fiesta Bowl and the Orange Bowl wasn't, because it's not really like a trophy. It's just
there were a couple missing, and I wasn't
oranges,
really sure why. They didn't.
I think it was the
explain
orange.
that, did they?
No, the Orange Bowl was one of them. I can't remember what the other one was. But yeah, that was pretty cool. So you could go up and take pictures with those, and they had like, you know, kicking a field goal and things like that,
Heisman,
which was pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, overall, I thought it was a blast. That was my first time at Lucas Oil, and that was also a pretty cool stadium. I wouldn't mind going back to watch either a Big Ten championship game or just like a Colts game. I thought that was pretty cool. I'd say the only thing that kind of stunk for us was we really wanted to explore the city and get to eat at the various restaurants and things of that nature. But because everyone was out of town, it was just impossible. Yeah. Like we really tried to go to local places. There's also like still COVID. We were the only two people wearing masks. So
that was a part of our deal with the wives, that we would wear masks, which was fine. But
you get two old girls at home. So
yeah, people didn't really. They weren't. No, they understood.
They packed the bars. Yeah. Oh yeah. We didn't get any trouble, but it was just when we tried to go to places to like see a local place, it was just either packed to the point where it's not comfortable, even if we weren't going to wear masks. But obviously with masks, it just wasn't fun. But yeah, so that's something I'd like to go back maybe when it's like a Colts game and not everyone, you know, if you're from Indianapolis, you're probably not as eager to go to all these various places.
We checked out a brewery that was it seemed like a smaller, I think it was a distillery as well, but we just had their beer. And we did learn, I think it made the news, but we learned that a lot of Georgia fans went to St. Elmo's the night before the game, and they had the police called because they kept barking at everybody.
That's right. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
So we walked by. We kind of looked to see if there was any chance that we could try and sneak in to get a bar seat or something, but the line was like 3 blocks long.
I will say I'm glad it was Georgia there, because how many people do you think we barked at, Joe, that weekend? And it was like acceptable.
Yeah, we pretty much barked at everyone we walked past.
You're
a lot of them barked back.
You're like the Mighty Ducks, just quacking at the teacher.
Yeah. It was I mean, obviously again, we didn't have a dog in the fight, you know, pun intended. But it was still fun to be a part of that, and yeah, like we barked our way across Indianapolis, which was pretty fun. But
glad you guys had a good time that night.
Yeah, and obviously for 3/4 of that game, it was stinky.
I think if it weren't for that injury, it would have been a different outcome.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, well, you lost Mechie and then you lose Jameson. It's like, what are you gonna do? Yeah, well, Mechie in the game before, right? But yeah, I mean, only so much Bryce Young can do. So is what it is.
It was
congrats. I mean I like Kirby Smart, you know, so it's all good. Can't win it every year. So
no, you cannot. And then unfortunately, guys, I did directly afterwards apply or enter the sweepstakes to go to the Super Bowl, because why not? And I did not, unfortunately, get that. That would have been...
What if you came on here and you're like, yeah, I won, so we went. Surprise.
Won both times. Woo!
It is crazy when you think about it, with like both the Natty and the Super Bowl, you know, the injuries to key wide receivers, you know, early on in the game. It's like, I mean, I guess for the Rams didn't really matter, but you know, could have been a lot worse, I think. Could be a blowout for the Rams there. That was the Super Bowl was, well, we don't have to get into the Super Bowl, but that was interesting. I missed a lot of the game because I was flying actually to.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. To Anaheim actually, but close enough. So I got to see like the last 10 minutes. And little bit on the flight, but
yeah, I guess. Yeah, Joe, do you have any other thoughts on the game? I mean, I'm not a country music fan, and I thought that was pretty cool to.
Oh yeah, the Sam Hunt concert. It was a free concert. They did it like their like center square. I don't know what it's called, but it was a block or two from our hotel. So
yeah, it was
right
fun.
There. Yeah. Nothing else. I mean, indie. Yeah, it would have been nice to kind of see more of indie, but we were so limited on time, and there were just people everywhere. I think we ended up eating at Yard House, which is a chain. And our whole thing, we're like, we want to eat somewhere local and kind of try their food and see what it's all about. But the only place we got a reservation, we waited like an hour, I think.
Yeah, we barely got into there.
Yeah, so it would have been cool to see more of indie, but no, it was a great trip. Thank you again for bringing me. It was well worth it.
Yeah, and then we totally broed out on our way back through Columbus and got ourselves some Rogue indoor gym equipment because the Rogue
highly suggest if you're interested
is right
in
there
some
in
home
Columbus.
gym equipment and you're going through Ohio, stopping at Rogue because you can save hundreds on shipping.
Yeah, I got a couple plates and a shirt and Joe, you were looking at like bars and then just really anything you wanted to
I looked
buy
at a new
online.
a rack that I bought. They have them all in person, so you can see the size and kind of what they look like and all that. So I ended up buying it. I sold mine and bought a new one in that meantime. So yeah, it's good.
It was very cool. I will try to continue to win these sweepstakes. I don't know that I'll ever win another one, but it was a pretty cool experience. Okay, so why don't we take a break here before we dive into the NIL? Does that sound good?
Sure.
Refresh some drinks.
Let's do it.
All right, we'll be back in a sec.
Hey there, Michigan friends. Are you sick with a voice like me and you need to keep your kids occupied? Or do you just need a fun way to keep your kids busy on college football Saturdays when you just want to have drinks with the boys? Jump into a Callahan Party Rentals, that is. They have inflatables for all ages. Maybe you just hit your 4-game parlay. Even you can run a victory lap on one of the Callahan Party Rentals bounce houses. Find them online at facebook.com/Callahan Party Rentals.
Welcome back, everyone. I am excited.
What the hell happened to you during the break? That was quite a sigh there, man.
Yeah, I just have like 100 things going on in my mind. I'm looking at a gaping hole in my basement ceiling right now. So sorry if I sound a little
looking back at you.
Yeah, no. But there was a huge bug in the middle of the carpet that I had to get. It was like a cricket or something that got in.
We had one of those like murder hornets in our pool yesterday.
Oh no.
So Anna calls me. I mean, I'm fine with those. If it's a snake, I'm not showing up. Yeah. But she calls me and there's a murder hornet in our pool. And that thing was like 2 inches. It was huge.
Oh my gosh.
It was in the pool. So it was already kind of like dying or like stuck. So I just took my flip flop and smacked it. But it was, I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, Mike, didn't we see those when we golfed on your course, right? Didn't they have
those
they were like infested.
Massive bees. Yeah, I don't know if they're murder hornets or what, but they're freaking ginormous.
It was like 2 inches.
Yeah, no thanks. I mean, not like afraid of bees, but like I've been stung enough that
this is a different thing.
Just look out for your own best interest, my guy. Yeah, there's no need to explain. No one wants to get stung by a bee.
Well,
you develop allergies.
I went back inside and sent Anna out to get
it. Yeah, no thanks. Okay, so why don't we talk about the NIL?
Why don't we talk about
this? This is just the huge. Obviously, it was a huge deal when this happened. I don't even know when did it happen. Now has it been 2 years? Yeah, 1 year. 2 years.
This past year was the first year that it was allowed. So I think we're coming up to the end of the first year.
Yeah, we're a year in at this point. So that's what's interesting, I think, to talk about this, because there was definitely some people that had deals, going into last season, but like now
really
we're
opened up.
seeing it impact and have it impact the transfer portal a lot more too, I think.
Well, let's
Yeah.
tell everyone exactly what it is.
Yeah, because this is always a term, that you might have heard, you might not be as familiar with it. I know that like I'm not even super clear on the real rules, but I did pull a little bit of information here. So this is what I was able to find. So the NIL, which stands for name, image, and likeness. So the NIL refers to the use of an athlete's name, image, and likeness through marketing and promotional endeavors. So this can include autograph signings, product endorsements, social media posts, various things. But this is the first time that now athletes can officially make money. College athletes can make money, because previously it was illegal unless you were professional.
So is it 18 and up? Is that the rule?
That's actually that's a good question. I'm not sure. I don't know.
I
if
have seen some high school. I would assume they're 18, but high school athletes, with a couple basketball players that are like well known, they've already signed stuff, but I would assume they're 18.
Yeah, they must be. That must just be. Yeah, they're 18, because I think a lot of this has to do with like the NCAA.
Actually, you know who else is Bronny James? I saw him the other day. I follow him on Instagram. He's some underwear.
Okay.
I don't know why he needs the money, but he's doing it.
So here's so that's a brief explanation of kind of what it is. Here's what it's not supposed to be. So the NCAA rules still prevent schools from paying players directly. So this means that like college coaches cannot offer money as an incentive for high school athletes to come play at their school, nor can athletes receive compensation directly from the university based upon their athletic achievements. So that's kind of like the lay of the law when it comes to NIL.
I keep hearing Texas has 100,000 that's split between every player or whatever, X amount. How does that work then?
Well, you make a deal, like it's not coming from the school, it's coming from whatever, like booster, it's because a company can, and we'll get into some of the different things here, like some of the different notable endorsements, but yeah, you can say, as a company, I want to, sponsor the entire Texas football team and spread money, between them. So everyone who's a Longhorn roster player gets some cash there. So
yeah, that's what has happened at Michigan State. Yeah,
what's his name?
Ishbia.
What's it? Wholesale Mortgage.
Yes. United Wholesale Mortgage.
Yeah, UWM. They actually sponsored the Red Wings too, I believe.
Yeah, last year. He's worth a lot of money.
6 or 7 bill. I looked it up.
Probably the most important bench player that Tom Izzo ever kept on his team. So yeah, that just goes to show you all those programs, even if a guy doesn't start, especially nowadays, he can definitely still provide value to your
so in his
program.
Izzo might have known that though, because I actually looked him up the other day. I was just bored and saw his name come up, and I was wondering how that the details of that deal. So it's just for that one, it's just football and basketball. And he was born into that family, and it was his father's business that he ended up taking over. So he silver spooned it. Yeah, because
he's not super old, right? I think he's in his 40s.
Yeah, I mean something like that.
I think he was on.
He has a brother as well that's a billionaire.
He I think he was on that national championship team in 2000. I want to say he played for them a long time ago. But yeah, so yeah, I was reading on that too. Like a lot of these boosters create like, not necessarily nonprofits, but they create like funds, and then those funds can then, like Mike was saying,
this has all been happening for years and years and years, and now it's all just out, and it's public.
Well, yeah, one of my favorite movies. Well, not maybe one of my favorite, but one of my favorite about sports, I guess, The Program. Old movie from the 90s with James Caan as the coach of Eastern State University, ESU, with the exact same colors as Florida State, same like logo and everything like that too. So definitely not based on anything in real life there, but it was all about like some of the some of the shadier things that happen. Like one dude's all juiced up. He's like a practice squad guy, shows up for his senior year, just roided out of his mind. The quarterback and the Heisman one of the Heisman hopefuls, has like a massive drinking problem. And then obviously, kids, like at dinners with boosters and stuff like that, and they get, well, hey, good luck this season, and they slip an envelope full of cash into their jacket pocket. So yeah, I mean,
sure. I mean, you had like Zion Williamson's mom have an Escalade when he gets, at 18 years old, when he gets to Duke. So there's always been those rumblings. Obviously, they had the huge investigation into into men's basketball about these impermissible benefits.
I mean, Miami, SMU,
right. But now it's just kind of coming to light. But I mean, I was kind of surprised that a little bit. I mean, I guess I shouldn't have been surprised at kind of what this has already turned into a year in. But yeah, I mean, why don't we talk about some of these notable endorsements just to give you guys kind of an idea of what some of these top players at top programs have been receiving for NIL stuff.
Yeah, I can get into that here a little bit, EJ. So a couple of things. So we see like notable brands starting programs, right? So the big ones is the Mercedes-Benz brand ambassador program. I know Degree deodorant and stuff like that has like a big program too. And they're taking kids, from all different sports. Like they're trying to like kind of diversify their portfolio. But then you have these instances where the star players really get the big deals. And this is where it becomes important with the transfer portal, which is another thing that we'll get into, because Bijan Robinson, running back at Texas, he just signed a massive, agreement with a Lamborghini dealership in Austin. And I think they also gave him a car too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Quinn Ewers was really popular. He made some notoriety because, to your point, Joe, before he even either before he graduated or before he enrolled at Ohio State, he got a $1.4 million deal with GT Sports to just sign autographs. So he got that deal. GT Sports made that deal before he even took a snap.
And he left high school early to go to Ohio. And I mean, that factors into your whole your life choices, really. I mean, at that point.
Well, and then I know, like, I have a couple good friends that are very into this whole like autograph thing. So like I guess it makes sense for GT Sports, like trying to lock him up early. But like the guy didn't start last year and is transferring to Texas. Well, has transferred to Texas. So like, it just goes to show like how smart are these endorsements? I mean, and how much fun did we have making fun of DJ Uyunglele with his Dr. Pepper endorsement that ended up being I think we can all agree, a massive waste of money for Dr. Pepper. And then I think one that's really cool. WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment has their next in line program where they're just, snapping up these kids who potentially want to go into professional wrestling after they graduate, if they're not going to go pro, or if they're, like a wrestler, right? Where, it's not really a pro league for that. And the big one that they got was Gable Stevenson from Minnesota, who, if people saw him, his performance in the Olympics, and then he had a really notable like national championship this year. So just an absolute giant of a man. So I think that one is pretty cool too. And then as we were kind of alluding to, obviously this is having a big impact on the transfer portal. And some of and this is where I think it's interesting now that we're seeing this, like, having it not be around last spring. Now that we have this transfer portal in NIL, I think the biggest name right now in football is definitely Jordan Addison, right? The Pitt wide receiver who entered the transfer portal as of this podcast. He has not decided where he wants to go yet. It sounds like USC and Texas are both front runners, which is kind of cool. Like, I think like USC's back, baby, and Texas is back. It feels like 2004. So they're those are kind of the front runners for Addison. I'm sure just because we're recording this podcast now, he'll probably announce his decision tomorrow morning because that's the way these things work. But yeah, I mean, Addison, Blitnikoff award winner last year, 100 catches, 1,500 yards, and 17 touchdowns. Xavier Worthy, The Texas wide receiver, he was offered a significant 6-figure deal, but the Longhorns were able to fend him off. Obviously, they have like billionaire boosters, so I'm sure that they were able to match and check and raise whatever his offer was. And he was a true freshman All-American, 62 catches, 1,900 yards, 12 tutters. And then Zay Flowers from Boston College also turned down a $600K and $300K offer to transfer his senior year. And that's just loyalty, man. I mean, that's just loyalty to the program right there.
Well, I just think like this is such a new era of college football when it comes to the transfer portal. And, obviously, whether it's in basketball or football, you have a lot of opinions on whether or not players should be able to transfer and be immediately eligible to play. So, the idea is they get 3 or 4 games to determine whether or not essentially they're going to start that year. And if they don't, they can just redshirt, transfer, and start somewhere else the next year. And, that kind of has gone on for a couple of years. And, people kind of equated it to free agency in the NFL. But I think now with the NIL, it's truly that, because a lot of those players, I mean, maybe I'm just naive and you don't hear about it as much, but it seemed like you transfer to somewhere and your initial thought is, where can I start? Right. I want to play.
It used to be.
I want to now, especially I think Addison is the glaring example of he entered that transfer portal and said, who's going to pay me? Like, I don't even think he had like a preference. I don't think it mattered to him. Like, he knows he's going pro.
There's still, there's still a factor of how good you have to be good enough to do that.
Sure. But the fact that he just blatantly went out and
asked for the highest bidder
and just said, who's going to pay me? Like, that's way different than what it had been before.
To be fair to him, though, I feel like the Heat, like with Pickett leaving and stuff, he's like, all right, I gotta have a good, like, my next year has to be strong, because if I want to, do the best thing for myself as a business decision, right? I don't know who Pitt's backup quarterback is, but they're probably not Kenny Pickett.
They got the transfer. So. They got Keaton Slovis, the USC guy.
Slovis from USC. That's right. Yeah. That's right. I forgot about that.
The highly rated Good guy call. That didn't really pan out there, but.
Yeah, well, I know he got injured too, but you don't want to risk that. I mean, if I'm Jordan Addison, I am definitely looking out for myself and my bottom line here. And I think we'll get.
So you're going to go to Texas?
Well, or USC. I mean, with
USC Riley. Is probably the better option there. But that's what's crazy about it is it's not like USC is going to be hurting for players. So he better believe in himself, because there's going to be a ton of 5-star guys sitting there waiting. Other transfers from Oklahoma sitting there waiting.
That's another interesting piece with this too, is the coaching carousel, right? Mm-hmm. So when you have Lincoln Riley going to USC, it's like, and this is more so the transfer portal than is NIL money, but I think it's a bit of both, because it's like, you can go to where, there's so much more incentive to follow a coach now to wherever else they go, especially in the case of like Riley, or, like, May not Brian Kelly's not a good example, because I'm pretty sure no one at Notre Dame wants to play for that dude anymore. But like,
I don't think people at LSU want to play for him, to be honest with you.
Oh, I don't think that's good. Well, and we have a quote from Brian Kelly here too that I think we'll get to when we talk about like how his coaches and ADs are reacting, and their families. But yeah, I just think it's it's so easy to just make the decision like, I'll just follow the coach, follow the money, and boom, like just take whatever was working well at Oklahoma and move it to Southern California.
I think a perfect example of that is Jackson State with Deion Sanders. I mean, he snatched the number 1 recruit, right, from Florida State. Mm-hmm. And everything people have been saying is like, well, once Prime's hired at Florida State in a year or two, he's just going to take him with him. He gets all the money now.
Yeah, and he can go to Jackson State because the kid can get the massive NIL deal. It's like,
I think it was $1 million like right off the bat or something like that.
Yeah. And it's, there's
Barstool,
no,
I think.
I was it Barstool?
I think it was.
I think they were.
I know that was a rumor, but I didn't know if it actually was Barstool. I mean, it makes sense if they are.
So separately, I just found an article. It's the weirdest, 16 of the most weird and fun NIL deals that have been signed by college athletes.
Lay it on me. I was actually reading that.
Did you? The first one's the kid from St. Peter's.
I was just gonna bring him up.
He's on there. Kool-Aid, signed with Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
EJ is familiar with this one because I know you sent it to me. Josh Pascal from Kentucky.
Yes, he was
an orthodontic. Or no, dentist. Yeah. A dentist.
Yeah.
Did a weird commercial, a funny commercial.
Yeah.
Let's see. The one that I thought was the most interesting, not necessarily funny, was the Braves. Atlanta Braves signed two gymnasts, twins, to just wear their gear. That's it. So Atlanta Braves signed one's from Fresno State and one's from, I think, Georgia, just to wear their gear, and they get paid.
Honestly, that makes a lot of sense because that bleeds into just like the whole influencer idea now. I mean, you have colleges that are paying students to promote a program or to promote
based on followers.
To how awesome campus life is and how sick the science department is. Like they're paying these college kids who
notoriously
have all these followers to
just science department, man. We got the best speakers around, homie.
Right. It's crazy. So now you're bleeding into it, and more power to them. I mean, obviously, I don't know if I have what it takes to be an influencer, but like if you have that personality and the ability to get people to follow you, like make money off of it.
We'll sign you.
Might as well, yeah.
The other thing that was on here was King from the U said he signed 4 deals in like the first couple hours that they were like legal. He would sign with anybody, it said.
Well, and it's interesting now, like, so I want to get a little bit into what the reaction of the NCAA has been and some of these coaches here too. So the NCAA released new guidelines on Monday saying that boosters who have communicated with kids before they sign with the program will be sanctioned. And this is effective retroactively. The NCAA is saying that they will not, like, that they'll focus on going forward. But like, this just like, I feel like I should apply for like
investigations
as president of the NCAA, because like these are just such stupid decisions. Like why make this effective retroactively? It just does,
because they're mad
sense.
About people breaking their rules, and they're like, I feel like that's
the
babies. NFL does the
but also
same
how are they
thing,
gonna
right?
How are they gonna prove all of that? Like, are they really digging in? Are they hiring people to investigate like all these cases?
I mean, dude, I guarantee. I
don't. If that were me, that isn't worth the money that you're gonna spend.
They're so petty.
Yeah.
They're just
every dollar.
Bunch of American girls, because they're Tom Petty. But I mean, and then some of the quotes from I include quotes from our boy Brian Kelly. I also, to be fair, include a quote from Coach Saban. Though I know like Lincoln Riley, Lane Kiffin, like a bunch
what's
of people
his name?
Out on NIL.
The guy that's hated it the entire time. Clemson. What I can't. Dabo has been, and honestly has put his foot in his mouth about it. But he has been
the transfer portal, NIL.
Yeah.
He's been.
It just creates more work for the coaches, though. It creates a lot more work for them.
Well, he doesn't believe players should make money, so he's been hard on.
He doesn't believe in the transfer portal either.
As he sits on his $20 million a year
season or whatever,
right? Yeah. Because of these athletes, he doesn't want them to make money, even though his program alone makes like $500 million.
So did he ask DJ to cancel the Dr. Pepper ads?
Right. Well, I get it. It's weird, like if you're joining a program and the guy in the locker next to you is $20 million a year or something like that, like, obviously that's an extreme number, but like and you're in college, it's like, but I mean, we'll get into some of the pros and cons here, but Dabo, I mean, no one has had a quicker fall from grace. I remember whenever Clemson played Louisville back when Lamar was there, and that was such a fun game. It just went back and forth. I think Deshaun was QB for Clemson. And is Deshaun versus Lamar. It was such a fun game. And that was the first time Dabo was really like on the big, center stage. I'm like, wow, this guy's awesome. I'd love to play for this guy. And then just the more and more you learn about him, it's like, yikes, this guy is just an absolute doucher. But so Brian Kelly said, quick quote here. Certainly, I am in favor of student athletes promoting their brand and having their name, image, and likeness. We're in a situation now where it's unintended consequences. I don't know if anybody thought we'd get to the point where seniors in high school were having multi-million-dollar contracts, which is crazy if you couldn't see that writing on the wall. We're get guys there in the transfer portal because they want to get paid to play, but that's not NIL. And there's going to have to be corrections. It's not a sustainable model from that perspective. I want to be able to develop, recruit, retain players, and retention from our perspective. That's providing the opportunity for guys to earn NIL opportunities, and that'll allow you to retain players. I'm not a big fan of freshmen coming in, not having played down and having a big contract. That's not good for your locker room or anybody.
This is probably one of, if you hadn't told me this is Brian Kelly, like now I'm conflicted on how to feel, because this is a very reasonable take. I think so. Like, I think there are consequences to freshmen coming in. I mean, obviously he goes to LSU, so you know he's not going to hurt for recruits, you know, as far as NIL anyway. But I think that's a pretty solid take.
So the only thing I have a problem with is he says, I'm not a big fan of freshmen coming in and not having played a down, having a big contract. That's not true. They've played plenty of downs. That's just not at your school. They've proven themselves to this point for 10 years, whatever, playing the game. Like, just because it wasn't for you, why are you recruiting him then? Based on what he did the last 10 years that you're watching, when giving him an offer in middle school, why can't companies pay him? You know what I mean? Like, why is it okay for you, but not, you can offer him a free ride to school, but a company can't come in and offer him money?
And also it's a bit insulting to say that like this individual would not have an opportunity to promote their name, image, and likeness if it wasn't for LSU. Like, I'm sure that LSU, like, obviously does provide a platform and a fan base for these kids to have NIL opportunities, but
so
like there's so many
schools.
And also so many kids these days have like their own brand on, like, you know, social media and stuff like that, and on YouTube. Like,
not even athletes. You don't even,
there are definitely ways to get NIL money.
YouTubers.
Like, I'm sure the LSU helps, like being an LSU football player obviously helps that.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, it's a bit insulting. And that's a great point that you made, Joe, that these guys have been, you know, putting in their dues and making, you know, star plays. Now,
their parents too, on top of that, probably.
Yeah. And for me, like, if I am making the business decisions, I would like to see them take a snap before, you know, I sign them to a contract, but
that's up to the business.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think from like a locker room perspective, I think I understand where he's trying to go. I don't think it's necessarily like, I don't think an 18-year-old necessarily deserves it, but the kind of potential toxic locker room dynamic that can bring, I think is where he's getting at, right? So maybe you just have a very humble 18-year-old that's still there to do the work, but like if you are super excited about this 5-star guy you got to your program, on any other year they have to prove themselves, right? But if you have a guy that's making $1 million and it's this, there's going to be that inherent pressure to play a guy like a Quinn Ewers, say, even if he doesn't deserve it.
And that's what we've been talking about, though. Look at JJ McCarthy.
But if you do that and you just start a kid because he has $1 million contract and he doesn't deserve to play, like, that's a quick way to lose your
I don't
locker
think that's
room,
a
right?
problem. I mean, I don't care. Like, from a locker room perspective, like, I don't know if that's so much of a thing. I think it's more like jealousy. Like, if kids are jealous that, like, oh, look at this freshman in high school who's like making all this money, but like at the same time, it's like that's just the world we live in, you know? Like,
I think EJ is saying, EJ, I think your argument is about the transfer portal. I don't necessarily think it's NIL, because the transfer portal is what gives them the opportunity to go to other, like what we've been talking about with JJ McCarthy. You have to play him a certain extent, money aside. You still have to play him if he can transfer to go to Texas, like Quinn Ewers, or go to USC with whoever. That's what you're talking about, I think.
Yeah,
the money doesn't really play into that.
But if McCarthy had a $2 million contract it would have been expected of him to get starts. And I
don't
think
I don't think so. No,
the school's not paying him. It's the boosters that are paying him.
Right.
And
Or
I
a
think
company.
who runs the school?
what if it's a
Like,
company?
well,
What
those
about
those
or the
those
Braves?
boosters
The Braves
that-
oh
aren't-
yeah, a company or the boosters, right? Well, but you have to deal with that regardless, right? Like it's actually, I think, helps because the boosters can be like, hey, listen, I know, you have to kind of sit on the bench here. Here's $500K or something like that. Like that's an easy way to placate a kid.
Well, when
you're
did
gonna
Ewers
face-
get his? He wasn't pressured to play.
That's true. He got his before he even,
Got to
he
Ohio
definitely,
State.
and he definitely was not pressured to play.
Well, the
So I think
difference would have been if it was it Ohio State related boosters that paid him. If it was, I think there would have been a different conversation.
I don't know how many deals he has, but I know that but that's going to happen
The trading
with
card,
boosters
wasn't
regardless. The autograph, memorabilia, signing memorabilia. I think that boosters are going to apply pressure regardless to play a kid. I think that the money actually helps in this case to like placate a kid, hold him over, potentially.
Hey, you're
But
not starting right now, but here's a milk.
yeah. It seems Brian's talking about like, say it like he's my friend. Brian. Yeah, if I know Brian,
His
like,
family.
I think I do. It seems like what he's talking about is just like some jealousy in the locker room, but like, I don't know, man. I mean, I guess that you have people out there who get jealous about seeing other people like do their thing, but like, it's also like, just support your boy and like let him ball out. Like,
I think another way to look at this though is this changes these coaches' jobs, recruiting job, significantly, and they've been doing it for how many years has Dabo or Brian Kelly been doing this for 40 years? It completely changes the dynamic and how they have to run things, and they're used to doing this. They already got it down. Clearly, they're good at it, and now they have to factor in this and try and talk with companies and try and kind of be a middleman and navigate those waters as well. Just make it harder.
And exactly. And to that point, Saban said, when asked about the situation, he said, I don't think what we're doing right now is a sustainable model. The concept of name, image, and likeness was for players to be able to use their name, image, and likeness, create opportunities for themselves. That's what it was. So last year on our team, our guys probably made as much or more than anybody in the country. But that creates a situation, as you're saying here, where you can basically buy players. You can do it in recruiting. I mean, if that's what college football wants to be, I don't know. And you can also get players in the transfer portal to see if they can get more someplace else than they can get at your place. Now, Grant, Saban put out those remarks before the NCAA's new rule, but I feel like it's also going to be extremely difficult to, like, given that you've already had, there's stories about obviously years and years ago, but like, kids who get like an internship and they show up and, are told to go home the first day and then the checks just start rolling in. Right. It's going to be really hard, I think, to identify situations where kids get poached before they enter the portal and before they make a commitment. Well, actually, I think with the new rules, they have to make a commitment. They can't just be in the portal and as a free agent. Right. So it's going to be hard to track that stuff down. And I think, find evidence there because the kid's not going to tell on themselves. But
I don't think what Saban said I think it's all accurate, but it is what it is. Like that's where the way it's going. Like
exactly
the floodgates are open now. You can't go back.
Yeah, I think they originally just wanted players to be able to like put their names on the back of jerseys and make money that way, right?
Well, if you're putting out the
NCAA
video game, and I am in that video game, the NCAA can't just make money because like, oh well, we don't have your name or it's not your number. Yeah, but it's all my stats. Like obviously, and there were college players on the cover, so.
Yeah. I think that's where I think that's what they were okay with. It's the fact that people are leaving the schools and it's easy for them to leave the schools and just go to the highest bidder. I think that was what they didn't want to see. Like, some of the endorsements and stuff, I think they were fine with, but I think the problem that they're having is, that they foresee, especially with the transfer portal, in addition to this, now the NIL is players just leaving
Well, I
to
guess
go to the highest bidders.
to play devil's advocate, why is that a problem?
I think it's from a moral standpoint, it isn't, but I think from like a football program, like every team's program, it makes it that much harder. And I get it, right? They can adjust and they will adjust. But I think it's just that much harder to keep continuity on your team and to keep players
but
is all.
These players have been, a lot of players, not all, but a lot of players have been paid for years. So now, like I said, now that it's out in the open, it makes it harder.
But they couldn't
now it's
leave.
more fair.
Well, but they couldn't leave. That was the thing.
But that's what I mean. Now
they can leave.
Now the players have the power to, you know what I mean, that they should have.
I mean, it'll be interesting too, because I think there's going to be players that are going to have the wrong mindset and it's going to probably shoot them in the foot, right? Like,
yeah.
I think it's there's going to be consequences with players that
someone thinks they're better than they are. Yeah.
That happens in the pros.
Yeah.
Look at Le'Veon Bell.
Right.
Look at Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
I mean, this stuff happens in the pros too. So, I mean, I get that it's a little bit like these are young kids, like 18 years old. Like, I mean, not saying that like just when you get older, you get more mature, because that's definitely not the case. But like, it is a big decision to make as an 18-year-old. Like, I have millions of dollars in the balance here, but like, it is interesting because I see, you know, like Zay Flowers deciding to stick around. Like, I don't know the full scouting report on Boston College, but I don't think the Eagles are going to like shock anyone this year. So, I mean, you know, he could have gone and made some money and try to get to a school where maybe he'd shine a little bit better for the draft. But, you know, loyalty is, you know, he wants to stick around and be loyal. And I think that there's people who will want to be loyal to a program. And then, you know, there's kids who are going to chase the money. And I think that there's going to be winners and losers from both sides of it. But at the end of the day, you know, this is the way it works in any other industry.
Real life. Yeah.
You
want to so you want to be paid, you know,
the way that I like to think of it is, if not everyone goes to college. So if you're 18, you graduate from high school, you don't go to college, you're in the real world. Every decision you make is a business decision.
True.
Just like if you're a student athlete, that's a business decision as well. So I don't see it any differently if you go to work at a supermarket or if you go to work playing college football.
Yeah. And these kids, you know, the NFL is not guaranteed. And you actually may see situations where I know a lot of people like, you know, kids are sitting out of like bowl games and stuff like that so that they can, you know, they don't want to hurt their draft capital or hurt, you know, get injured and have something happen. You know, maybe they'll stick around because now if you already are getting, you know, you're getting paid. I think in college, it will. Yeah. And, you know, it's like, well, you know, I have money. Like, there's less of a risk because before it was like, okay, if I blow out my knee in the Peach Bowl, I'm screwed. Like, all of this is for nothing. And, you know, I didn't make any money. But now it's like, I'm going to graduate with a couple million in the bank already. Like,
I think it'll depend, though. I think like those kind of middle, like fringe players that are like, maybe you'll get drafted, maybe you won't, maybe you'll see them sit out because they don't necessarily have the endorsements that like a superstar, you know what I mean? If you're going first round, you've got those endorsements that kind of give you that security, but maybe the guys that are not sure when they'll be drafted or if they'll be drafted, maybe they'll sit out. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, they have to prove themselves for the draft as well.
Yeah. I think you're going to start to weed out players that don't want to play football, that are very good at football, but don't want to play. So I think there's just going to be now in the NFL, that's obviously due diligence that's done and different risk tolerances and thresholds on whether or not how much you put a value on a guy that eats, sleeps football and someone like, I think Hutchinson and Thibodeau were great examples where Thibodeau had a lot of, and I don't think it's a negative thing. I think, especially in his case,
other things going on.
Right. He has a lot of other aspirations than football what he wants to do while playing football. And Hutchinson was an eat, sleep, you know, play football kind of guy. And that's going to be, you know, just a different coaching and different teams are going to like different players. But I think now that's going to trickle into college because there are going to be very good players that deserve to be paid and want to be paid, but are also going to be true to a program. And then there's going to be guys that are just going to bounce around and just make as much money and don't care about the playing aspect. and it's going to be on college teams and coaches to identify when to take a risk on a person and when not to. I think it's just going to be even a bigger deal now because of money and boosters and the ability to just transfer. And I actually think that's going to change. I think they're going to put rules where you can only transfer once and be immediately eligible. I think they're going to make it a lot harder.
I don't like that though, because like sometimes it's just not a good fit, you know, like, and also what if you're in a situation where your coach leaves, you know, like,
sure.
You know, if you don't like the new guy, you know, coming in, I mean, if I'm a Notre Dame player and Brian Kelly leaves, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm sticking around here. But, you know, also it could be, you know, you get recruited by one guy. You know, a lot of players get recruited, you know, not by the head coach, might get recruited by like a coordinator. It's like, well, you know, then he leaves. It's like, well, shoot, I don't think I want to stay here anymore, you know? So, or it's just a bad fit, you know? So I don't think that there should be, I know that people are going to abuse the transfer portal, but I feel like the majority, I feel like that those are the ones that make the headlines. I feel like that the majority of situations that it like makes sense. Even with Quinn and CJ, like if I'm Quinn Ewers, transferring to Texas is a super smart decision because I think we've seen, you know, CJ Stroud's the real deal. He's going to start. He's going to be the guy there. Like you could say, well, you know, if Quinn is a true ball player, he'll like, you know, compete for the starting job and everything like that, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, at the same time, it's like he's got to make an impact in the league, in the NCAA in order to, you know, try and get to the league, right? Like sitting around isn't going to do him any good.
Yeah, it depends. I think in his case, it'll be interesting to see what happens at Texas because there's an assumption that he's just going to be the starter and that's it. But what happens if he's not and he leaves again? Now, in college football,
then he's Tate Martell.
Right. In the NFL, you have to, in order to get drafted, you have to stay in college for 3 years. Like it doesn't matter. So you have players like Joe Burrow that only had 2 years of college and had an incredible 1 year that catapulted him to where it was. So in theory, if you're Quinn, you could have taken the route of, okay, Stroud in theory has 2 years. I can redshirt one of those years. So then I'm really only eating 1 year of eligibility. And so then I can just make an impact in 1 year or even stick around for 2 and then I'm gone. But you know, then there's people that want to play immediately. I get it. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, like,
I also make my argument.
Paths.
Yeah. I also just made that argument and I am the biggest beneficiary of a quarterback not transferring in what we saw with Tua and Jalen Hurts. So,
and just sitting, you know, and like, sometimes that's what is best for young players is to sit. But I think the transfer portal is great for other players. Like Joe had mentioned, I was going to bring up Doug Ebert. I don't know how it's Ebert. But like that's the NIL and transfer portal is beautiful for a guy like him. I'm not sure. I assume he was going to transfer, but I'm not sure.
I saw it. I forget who.
But you get like the chance to play that one great year, you get recognition, and now he turned it into some money and an ability now to go to a program that wasn't recruiting him when he started. And I think that's like an awesome opportunity. And you're going to see a lot of examples of players being able to use it effectively that way. So I think there's a lot of positives to both systems in that case too.
Transfer to Bryant.
Oh, okay. But now he's still, people are going to remember him and maybe he can parlay that to I don't know what year he is, but parlay that into a different program. Like, I don't know. I think there's
he's
pretty
taking
cool
his
positives as well.
His B-dubs deal with him too.
I also think it's interesting that I think we're definitely going to see, I think you already see this because like when you look at some of the favorites for this coming season for the Natty, you know, USC and Texas, I mentioned it earlier, like I feel like that they are very much back because they have massive boosters, you know, and I think they're going to be able to, like, if Jordan Addison goes to either of those teams, huge. I mean, I think between Worthy, Robinson, Ewers, Texas already is looking great for this year, but what did I say? Worthy, Robinson, and Ewers, I think they're looking great. If they get Addison, then that will be cherry on the top. And then, you know, Lincoln Riley would love to have that guy. I also think it'll be interesting. Nike, you know, like, do you only give NIL money to Oregon kids, or are you gonna spread around? Like what's the incentive? Because it was always like, oh yeah, Oregon, like you got Nike right there, you got all the sweet swag and stuff like that, and top of the line facilities. But now it's like you can get that Nike money too. Might be where it's at.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see the business decisions, like even like we had mentioned about some of these young players, especially high school, that you're taking a risk on it, and someone's going to pay them, and so you really have to decide: are you going to be the genius that gets Quinn Ewers and he ends up being a Heisman, or are you going to pay DJ, Uyunglele or Spencer Rattler, and you've essentially wasted your money?
Everybody becomes a scout at this point, marketing scout.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but they don't necessarily have to be a good player though. They just have to have a following and be able to promote something.
Yeah, imagine what Archie's gonna get, or Arch, excuse me.
Oh my gosh.
Or maybe he doesn't. I don't know. I could see them being like, he's I feel like gonna just be like a Peyton, like, because they don't need the money and they don't care about that, right? They just want him to be successful.
You don't think he's gonna take an NIL deal?
I don't know if that's going to be a focus, is what I'm saying. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to just be
like, no. Yeah.
We're going to listen to like 3 things, and that's the bottom line. Like, we don't really care. Like, I bet you that kid's probably going to be pretty insulated, and it's just going to be, Cooper deciding what's going on, and that's it.
He's going to, Grandpa is going to decide where he goes to school.
Peepaw.
Pop. Yeah.
So he's Cooper's kid, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And
all right.
It'll.
So he'll have a deal with what, Caesars? Is that who they were?
Oh yeah.
Or whatever. Guarantee he's going to be in those
Casino,
commercials now with.
With the rest of the fam.
Yeah.
Well, isn't the, I don't know if it's true or not, but isn't like the urban legend, or if it's true, doesn't like Cooper have more money than Peyton and Eli? Because he's like,
he's got like finance or something, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I think it's like he's in like oil and gas. Like he's very wealthy. From what I understand.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't surprise me. Obviously,
energy trader who has this says net worth of 13 mil, so that's probably
well, also not more than Peyton or Eli, but still pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Yeah,
I mean,
13.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he lands, and if he ends up turning out to be what everyone thinks he's going to be.
That kind of family money, though, you're not basing your decision on NIL.
No. I'm sure he'll take a deal, but I highly doubt it's going to even matter to them, right? Like he'll
pick a school and then take deals based on where he goes.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like this entire recruiting process and everything's been so under the radar because of how high profile he is. I think they're going to take the approach of him trying to go as far under the radar and possibly, but as far under the radar as possible, so he doesn't get in his own head, so he can just focus on football and try and be as successful as he can be, instead of being like, I'm Arch Manning, I'm better than everyone at the, because you could take that route. Like,
did you guys see the video? Like it was on Instagram. I saw it where it was like, guess the quarterback, and they show like 5 kids like dropping back, taking a drop back, and then throwing a pass, and the last one was him.
Oh, no,
and all the I looked at the comments, and all of them like, it's probably the Manning kid. Yeah, everyone knows who he is.
Yeah.
So end of the day, NIL, I think it's a great thing. It makes sense. I mean, is it going to get abused? Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But like these kids have every right to profit off of their name, image, and likeness and get that paper, because the NFL is not a sure thing at the end of the day.
Yeah. A lot of these, I think most of the players that get it, maybe not most. I would guess more players get it that won't make the NFL, right? Than do.
Well, it's not just the NFL.
Well, the professional league is what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
If there is one.
I would
that
just
too.
Yeah, I would just say I've always thought the NIL from just a principled standpoint, the idea of kids making money off of what they've earned for schools in the NCAA always made sense, because their product earns billions annually and they were seeing none of it. I know some people will say, yes, of course you get your scholarship, but like in the grand scheme of things, it's very minuscule based
if you went to school and you did a project that you invented a product and then you started selling that, is the school gonna get all the profit from that? No.
Right. No.
Well, and like look at the Fab Five documentary. They talked about how, like, you know, they changed like culture, you know, like black socks and like the black ankle socks and short shorts, like that was them, and they didn't see a dime of that. Nike made a ton of money, you know.
They saw some.
Probably not what they deserved.
Not even close to what they would have gotten if it were legal.
But I just think I think that from a competitive standpoint, I think you're just in college football in general. It's just at the worst point when it comes to competitive balance. So I think this is just compounding that issue. So from that standpoint, I understand the idea of trying to make restrictions.
I don't know. I kind of think the opposite, though. I kind of think that it evens it out, because if you get players that aren't just going to sit behind a second stringer, won't just sit there and wait their turn, they'll go somewhere else to a lesser school. If they're at Alabama and you're the backup wide receiver, you're not getting time, you can transfer, make some money being the number one somewhere else. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's transfer portal / NIL. It's mostly transfer portal, I guess. But
I mean, I still think if you say annually there's like 25-star players, I think that the pipeline to them still starts at a couple of schools and they pick the ones they want. Yeah. And then, you know, the rest get to decide whether or not, and some schools like Alabama just might have unlimited funds and it doesn't matter, right? They can still pay the same amount versus like if you're, I don't even know, like UCLA, like a program that could still, or Oregon that could still try and be big.
I think
you're still going to struggle.
You'll get schools that have plenty of money. They're just not a football school.
Right. So I can understand issues, and
which is why it's weird that like Saban and Dabo and Kelly are the ones complaining about this, because they're the ones that are already established.
Sure.
Like it should be the ones that don't have the money and don't have the football program that should be complaining about this, I guess.
I mean, Saban comes at, and I'm sure Dabo's very much the same way, but I imagine I can't speak for Brian Kelly because he's a douche. But like, I feel like they come at it from the perspective of like, I think Saban truly believes it. I think Dabo believes it too, because he's a total narcissist. It's like, I'm trying to recruit these kids based on like the value of my program and like learning from me and like the value that we have here. Like Saban always tells kids, like there was that clip that leaked where he's like, listen, there's nowhere else in the country where you can go and you're going to go one-on-one in practice every week against NFL caliber talent.
Sure.
You know, that's his pitch, right? And he doesn't want to have a kid get swayed because it's like, all right, well, I hear you're on the NFL thing, but also these guys are going to pay me $1 million. So, you know, screw you. You know, it's like now, like, where are you kicking in from a money? You know, he doesn't want the money to be part of it.
Or even if he doesn't lose out on that kid, but the kid's only concerned about the money, like he might not necessarily want that kid either. But the boosters paid him. He shows to Alabama, but he's not useful.
We don't want you anymore.
Right. But
I feel like he's got the rule of the roost. I mean, it's not like not like in Texas, right? Like in Texas, it's like you got to listen to what the boosters say, you know. Yeah. But Saban, I mean, I don't think there's any boosters that are pushing back on him, you know.
And I also think the NIL in general, again, on principle, I think it gives every player an opportunity to make money. So even if you're not a star player, you can still do something, right? You can try and make yourself an influencer and make money off of it, or you can get creative and do whatever. You can just have maybe a really personable personality. You can be personable, have a great personality, and you can earn yourself money even if the NFL isn't a real dream for you. And maybe it's not hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars, but you can still make something. So I think that principle of it is positive. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, like if you're a great player, you're going to make more, but I just think the opportunity to make it, because I think there's probably going to be players that aren't as good at their sport that can still earn a lot now that they have the opportunity to. So
Yeah.
I think that's just a great, I think that idea and that original principle is a positive thing for everyone. Now that you have a chance, now you can tag Barstool and be a part of that. And even if it's just like now you drink for free because you're a Barstool athlete through college.
Yeah, Barstool
like,
signed
awesome.
like hundreds of people as soon as this became legal. Like they didn't even know what the details were, but they're like, we'll sign you. We'll sign everybody.
And then that person can go into a bar and they're just like a legend, right? They don't have to make money off of it, but they're the most popular kid in school and they get free drinks. Like that's also like a positive aspect of this. I personally think so.
Oh, I mean, yeah, because we all know that, college football players, I'm sure, have the hardest time getting pussy right up until before they, thank God the NIL happened.
No, but now like half those athletes are like women softball players and like volleyball players. Like
that's
it's just it's a hodgepodge of whatever. It's not just the two main sports, right?
Right.
So yeah, I think it's awesome. Any other final thoughts here before we wrap up?
No, I just want to also, just to be gender sensitive. Yes. Also college volleyball players and swimmers and gymnasts, I'm sure also had not very popular, girls on campus had a hard time getting with dudes up until NIL. I'm sure that was definitely the case. Yeah.
Hey, you never know, man.
I mean, come on. I have eyes. I can see. Unless these people are just total idiots. But yeah.
Joe, anything else?
Got nothing.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for us this week. So
it's good to be back in the saddle.
I know.
I want to say that too. Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's good to be back. So guys, just make sure you follow us on Instagram at whiskers.whiskies and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. So as we mentioned briefly at the very beginning of this episode, this is actually going to be the first part of a 2-part series. So please join us in 2 weeks. Yes, it is.
We broke it into two parts
because there's just so much football to talk about. And so we got our college football fix in this time. And in 2 weeks, we will be discussing all things NFL. Now that we have the draft, we have the schedule, we have all these crazy free agency and all sorts of stuff. Broadcasters,
commentary teams. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All sorts of changes. So we are going to tackle that, pun intended again. Man, I'm going to roll with this.
You're killing it. You're not skipping a beat.
And
just pick up right where you left off.
In 2 weeks. So happy Memorial Day to everyone. Enjoy this great weekend.
MDW 2022. Let's roll.
Let's do it. So for Mike and Joe, I'm EJ. Always remember, too much of anything is bad, but too much good whiskey is barely enough.
Here's boys.